Ebro in the morning, 20 years of B.I.G. Loving B.I.G. Cast 197 minutes commercial free right now. We're going to take your calls, 800-223-9797. Faith, how you doing this morning?
I am wonderful. So happy to be here with y'all.
You're 20 years, right? It's crazy.
I know.
I mean, I told Rosenberg a second ago, I was like, it's not really, I'm 42 years old, so I guess when you remember your own age in relation to, you know, where you were at that time, it's not that crazy, but it is.
Do you see today, so a lot of people would assume that today is really sad. Is it difficult? Has it turned more into a celebration? How do you see the anniversary?
To be quite honest, if I wasn't out already doing my radio promo for my album, I probably would just be at home. Normally, I'm just at home. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing that I just don't really, I can't say I don't acknowledge the day, but a lot of times I'm like, until I start getting, you know, just thinking of you stuff, or if I happen to see post, I don't always just remember that, oh, this is the day, or it's coming up.
You're more focused on the birthday and celebrating the life part.
Well, no, I mean, every day I celebrate. I mean, back to your point, yeah, it has become more me acknowledging and celebrating the great life and person that he was, but not just on March 9th.
Right.
To be honest, I don't know why. In all these years, there's been one time that I went to a party on this day. And that was because I was already up here doing
Was that the Roseland joint that we did with Mr. C? It was packed.
Oh, my God.
And you was on stage getting loose. I think you threatened a couple people. You was like, yo, I'm from Newark. Yo, chill out. I'm from Newark. Yo, C, throw on my joint. I was like, all right, Faith, chill. We don't need that, Faith. Do you have a favorite B.I.G. quote? Think about it. We'll come back. We got callers coming in right now. Jay from Westchester. We just having fun with B.I.G.'s music. Favorite B.I.G. quote, Jay?
A clean quote. You know what it is? One of my favorite quotes, because it took me a couple of years and an own personal incident for me to realize it. When he said he left the dude coughing up blood in his pocket like rabbit ears. And when I went through a situation that I saw something like that, I laughed to myself. And then I was like, man, I just really think that Biggie was ahead of his time before punchlines. He changed the game with the punchlines, you know?
Looking at Shawnee culture, I think there are many of us who still don't understand the line.
I'm like, I was waiting for him to, I do remember it.
Do you know did you understand it?
I don't quite understand. I didn't get it.
Yeah, we should have asked him that, because I still don't understand it. Cass, you know?
Yeah, I get it. He said leave him coughing up blood in his pocket like rabbit ears. Like, when you have nothing in your pockets and you turn them inside out.
Yes, and you pull them like, yes.
Well, part of the reason I didn't ask Jay that, because it sounded like he either beat somebody really bad or robbed somebody, so we'll leave that alone.
Thank you, Cass.
Or got robbed.
Or got robbed, yeah. Danny from New Jersey, quote from B.I.G. Favorite quote?
My favorite quote was, "Born sinner, the opposite of a winner. Remember when you used to eat sardines for dinner?"
Yeah, man. Coming up from the bottom. Oh, sorry about that, Danny. That was one of those quotes from B.I.G. Like, he reminded you where you started. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things that B.I.G. always paid homage to his family in the music, his loved ones, celebrating life. And I think that's why on 20 years right now, we decided, you know, a lot of people like to remember the day. And I'm not one of those. Like, I like to celebrate what you left us with, the pieces of yourself that you gave us that was things that we could, you know, move on from.
Isn't it amazing? I find it amazing. I don't know about you, Faith, that all these years later, his career is 25 years old or so, right? 26, 27 years old. And most of his music, with the exception of like the very early stuff like Party and stuff like that, still sounds very recurrent.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I hear it all the time.
Very relevant.
Absolutely.
It's not like a throwback when I hear it.
Not even.
Someone plays Dead Wrong, you're like, oh, you're playing Dead Wrong. You're not thinking like, oh, you're going back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that's just part of the culture.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Faith, do you have a favorite B.I.G. quote?
Wow. He had so many good ones, but I like, you got a body making me want to eat that. I'm fucking with you.
Do you have a favorite B.I.G. record? That's kind of hard, too.
It is.
It's a lot. First thing that comes to your mind.
The What?
The What?
I like The What a lot.
Mm-hmm. Celebrating B.I.G. 20 years, 97 minutes commercial free. Faith Evans is here. How are you?
I'm good.
You have a project coming out, The King and I. When does that drop?
May 19th.
May 19th. And you also are doing, and on there, just some of the features. We're going to get to the record with Jadakiss, but some of the people that stepped up and helped you put this together, some of the artists.
I got Jadakiss, obviously, Snoop, Lil Caesar's on the album. Is that me? ringing like that?
Nah, that's
No,
the
that's
door.
what we'll close
the
the
door.
C's, I got Little Kim, Buster's on a joint, and I got a joint with Chic Luch and Styles from the Locks.
Dope. How was the tour, the Bad Boy tour? It looked successful by all, as an outsider's perspective. Was it 20 dates, the whole family together? And that was your first time?
That was my first time doing a show with the whole Bad Boy family.
How was that experience for you?
It was a lot of fun. And I really found myself, like, every night sitting backstage, looking at the monitor, when everybody was on stage, like, and just really feeling proud. Like, wow, I ain't even, I ain't realize it, but it was crazy to just see how we really touched people, like how our particular contribution to music, like, they was really, it was lit every night. Like, I was like, wow, every city thought it was the best show. Whereas, there was somewhere I was like, my sound in that venue was a little different. I feel like I could have done better, but the fans seemed to think that, this was the best show I ever been to in my whole life.
When you got the call, did you have any doubt, like, could this really work? Could we all really get back together and pull off this tour?
No. I mean, that wasn't really my concern. I was just concerned about what
My
I needed to make it
what kind of work
happen.
I got.
Right, doing your part.
Yeah.
What from your perspective, being Biggie's wife, what was the relationship from your perspective of Biggie and Puff like? Because our version of that we've seen is a very kind of glossy version, but they had a really real relationship, worked together. Puff was so responsible for so much of what happened to Big, but Big is so responsible for what happened for Puff, and they're very different personalities. What was their relationship like to watch?
How could I wish I could think of the perfect assimilation. I want to say like almost like Ralph Crandon
and Norton.
Yeah.
They would go at it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Big just. I know he had a huge respect for Puff, obviously, and a love for him, but at the same time, he just had this way that he wanted to kind of just floss his intimidation every once in a while, even though it wasn't serious. You know what I mean? So I've definitely witnessed, and it's not like I spent a whole lot of time around the both of them. You had their separate, thing, and me and Puff's relationship was totally different. But yeah, I've seen him scream on him, but then he'll look at somebody and laugh.
Well, because he was the artist, and he has to remind you, I'm the artist. Don't forget it.
Yeah.
Right.
Big was crazy.
You guys, I don't know if you've seen Faith recently, but you should because she looks incredible.
Amazing.
Yes. Thank
Off
you.
the air, you was telling us you wake up at 4:30 in the morning and run stairs?
I wake up at 4 a.m. and
Every
I try
day?
when I'm at home on my regular schedule, yeah.
You should get a morning show, because if you're already up at 4 a.m., you might as well.
I mean, I've been trying to work on that for some years. I think I should, do
You want to get up in the morning? You want to host?
She's already up.
Right.
If you're up and Ebro, she could be done with her stairs by 5 o'clock and still be on the air by 6.
And then you got to get your boy off to school, right? What time you got to be at school? 8:30?
He gets picked up at 8:30, 8:45.
Got it. Yo, your oldest CJ, I mean, he crushed that movie Kicks.
Yeah, he did I was cracking up. He enjoyed it too. He enjoyed filming it. And when I saw it, I'm like, no wonder you get to, wild out. He kind of reminded me of, if I could think of it, what probably people's perception of what Biggie would be when he was younger in that movie, that character.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's probably not, I mean, I know that's not really a true, depiction, because now that I know Miss Wallace and really know how Big grew up. But if I was just a fan listening to Big's lyrics and stuff, I would think that that's how he was as a little boy, that character that CJ
Right.
was in that movie.
If you didn't see the movie Kicks, it's a great movie about sneakers, for sure. But it's also about kind of like our connection to sneakers and how important they are. And a kid gets his sneakers stolen and proving your manhood and this whole thing. It's a really dope film.
Faith, one thing that blows my mind about Biggie, and we talk about this a lot, is that he was 24 when he passed away. And now all of us, even though you don't look it, are 20 years older. Is it weird for you as a grown woman with a child who's now, you and Biggie's child is grown,
Right.
practically, to think about that the man you were in love with and that you knew, if you were to meet someone that aged now, you'd think of as a child. You'd be like, you're 24 years old. Do you know what I'm saying? Is it hard to reconcile what he would have been like had you been able to age together?
Wow. No, actually, I think that if Big was alive, we would have definitely tried to get back together a few times if it didn't, if we weren't still together. And even if not, I know we would be the best of friends. I know that.
Did he have an old soul?
He did. He really did. But the funny thing is that like on the album, Miss Wallace is actually on the album on some interludes, and it's funny because I talk about the moment when I made him like, I have to meet your mother. We were already married, and she wasn't really feeling the fact that he married somebody.
You were married and you hadn't met her.
Hadn't met his mom. And I'm like, I gotta meet your mom.
It moved quickly.
It moved quickly.
Yeah.
Things escalated quickly.
But the thing is, the day that I was like, I'm going in there to speak to her because she's probably thinking I'm some other type of chick, and the way he walked in there with his head down and almost like a little dog with his tail between his legs, I'm like, I wish I could just have that on film for people to see that big, because he was all like fearful of what the heck his mom was. Like,
And how did she react?
Jamaican one was gonna crack him
like,
in his forehead.
Christopher, come here. Why would you tell her not to speak to me?
And how often do you and Valletta speak now?
All the time.
And, here's a random question. What stuff do you have? What Biggie stuff do you have? You have any stuff in the house?
I don't.
Miss Wallace keeps a lot of the Biggie stuff, right? Or-
Whatever was not, whatever wasn't taken from his house in Teaneck.
What, by
she
friends
still has,
and people who knew him? Or you don't know?
by whoever happened to take it.
Interesting. So there are things out there, in other words.
But she does have most of the stuff. Actually, Miss Wallace has, the only thing I did have, with regard to Big, was an urn with his ashes. I had that for a while. And then when I moved from Jersey to Atlanta. I felt a little weird about just kind of keep moving it. I don't know. Something just felt weird to keep moving it. So I kind of gave it to her. Because when he passed, she had his ashes split up, for me, her, CJ, and Tiana. Mm-hmm. And actually, it was just 3, because I'm like, well, me and CJ are here. I ain't really,
Right.
But I just asked her I gave it to her because I just felt weird about moving around from state to state and house to house with his ashes. Other than that, the only thing I have is actually a program from his funeral. That's it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about the first time you guys met.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to tell me about it. How was it?
It was a funny day. We actually met at a photo shoot that Puff had arranged for his new artist. Well, Big obviously wasn't a new artist, but the Bad Boy Arista thing was new. And it just ended up being me, Big, and Craig Mack there. And I remember I had some pictures. You remember back in the day when you get your pictures developed and you got to write your phone number and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my pictures while we were taking a break. And he kind of came up and started conversation and stuff. And he asked me, was that my daughter in the pictures? All that. I got a daughter too. So I happened to be with Hurricane G that day, the rapper.
Yes.
Amazing.
And so mind
That's
you,
amazing.
Big didn't even know I was an artist. So he told me he saw me coming in and out the studio, but he thought I was a session singer or whatever. And in his mind, he's probably like, how's she know her? Because G was popular at the time,
Yeah.
But what happened was Gloria was at Redman's house, who's a good friend of mine. I dropped my daughter off for his sister to babysit her. Told Gloria, I gotta go to the city. I'll drop you off in Brooklyn. Boom.
And Hurricane G and Redman are cousins or siblings?
No, they're not.
Or they're just close?
They were just, from the whole Hit Squad Association. But Redman's sister is one of my best friends.
Got it.
And she used to babysit my daughter. So Gloria comes with me to the photo shoot. I guess Big is talking to her, like, how you know her? You da-da-da. He finds out I'm dropping her off in Brooklyn, asks me could I take him and the Mafia back after the photo shoot. So I take them back to Brooklyn.
They didn't even have cars.
They
just wanted a
I had a
ride.
car, right.
Let me get a ride real quick.
He's like, right.
Lil C sat on someone's lap.
Yeah.
What up, C's?
And it was jokes the entire trip back to Brooklyn. So when I dropped Big off, he was like, I'm gonna call you. I'm like, all right, but I never gave him my number. And then the next day he called me, and I'm like, how'd you get my number? He's like, I took it off of your, he took it off
the
of my
picture.
envelope. I was like, oh, that's so
Creep move. I love it.
You know,
I'm
pretty.
not asking for it if I'm taking it.
I already got your number.
Wait, so
matter of fact.
you like the initiative that he took?
I did.
Okay.
It did something to me. I was like, oh, that's cute.
What I find interesting is, like, I guess I didn't realize that early on when Biggie was doing photo shoots with Craig Mack, I didn't realize you were already in the Bad Boy picture.
Yeah.
So Puff already had his eye on you and was starting to work with you.
Yeah, I actually had written and sang on Usher's first album when Puff executive produced that, and Mary's My Life album.
Wow,
Prior to me recording my first
So
album.
were you around Puff before Biggie was, period?
No.
Okay, so
No. I met Puff when he was working on Usher's first album, actually.
And then when did Biggie come in though?
Big was already
He was
signed
already around.
when he was
Okay.
still at Uptown.
Yeah.
Wow, and to think if things had gone differently, you could have ended up marrying Craig Mack and not Biggie.
Oh,
We'll never know.
Look at face. No.
None of that.
The project King and I out May 19, right?
Yes, and it's available for pre-order now.
You can get pre-order on iTunes right now. And you also are working on a documentary with A&E. What's that about?
Yes, Miss Wallace and I are executive producing with A&E Films a documentary about Big that is more from just a real light-hearted perspective. You know, just candid and funny stories from, you know, people that were close to him personally.
But that was who B.I.G. was. He was always joking. It was always a good time for him.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, like, 20-something years later, when every time I'm here, I hang with C's and Nino and them. But we can spend the whole entire week that I'm here every day laughing at the same stuff. And it's still just as funny, like it happened yesterday, just the same way we were talking about Big's rhymes. I don't know. But it's more those type of things, certain things that people don't always hear about him, you know. And I'm looking forward to it because what made us do it, they just was like, we want to do something different, not so much something that is about his death and just all the same sensationalized stuff. And the thought initially was for Tiana and CJ to kind of narrate it, but that didn't end up happening, so I don't know if they're going to kind of use my bits as narration, but you know, I think it's going to be
April 11th on A&E. I want to play another record off the King and I project. You got another record with Snoop that's been circulating around out here, which is an awesome collaboration. What was the spark? Was it the 20 years celebrating his life to put out this project? What was the initial spark in putting this King and I project together?
Actually, this is just all happenstance that it's coming out, you know, now, and that I'm here doing my radio stuff this week on this anniversary because I actually was inspired when Natalie Cole did Unforgettable. It was just a thought, though. I told Miss Wallace, like, that'd be really dope one day if I could do something like that with Big's music. But I just thought it and left it right there. And then a few years ago, my attorney was like, yo, remember you said you want to, you know, let's meet with the people who got the masters and see if they want to do some business.
And for people, for kids out there, the great Natalie Cole, who passed away last year, 25 years ago, whatever it was, she made an album, a posthumous album with her father, the great Nat King Cole, and they had a song Unforgettable. It won Grammys. It was like a huge project, and of course, it was done the way your album was done. It was pieced together. Now, the vocals we heard on the new record, the New York City record, I never heard those vocals in my life. Are there other vocals like that on the album that we haven't heard before?
There are. Actually, I have a couple of joints where I use Big's references for the rhymes he wrote for Junior Mafia and for Lil' Kim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got a couple of joints where you might hear a verse that you heard on Kim's album, but you hearing Big say it. Or you might hear a verse from C's album, but you hearing Big say it because that was his reference, you know?
Yeah, that was what he had put together for them.
Did you and Kim hang out at all on the tour?
Yeah. Well, we didn't hang out, like go out to parties because I didn't go to any parties. Probably the one in New York was the only one I went to. But backstage, I always went by her dressing room to say hi before the show, see her daughter, you know, stuff like that.
That's nice. I think it just warms the heart of like Biggie fans to know that Faith and Kim are cool and hang out.
Kim is on the album.
Yeah.
I said that, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let me
That's
tell y'all
amazing.
again, Kim is on the album.
There you go.
The King and I, which is coming May 19th.
Faith, when you see the drama that obviously plays out on blogs, you know, how crazy, just take yourself back to when you was young, how crazy would the stories have been if blogs existed?
Ooh,
Social media.
I mean, even though it's documented and been talked about certain things that I did, but I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I know for me, I can say I'm so happy it wasn't like that. I'm so happy.
You don't need people to know everything that happened.
Oh my God, I don't want to see some of those things again. I'm like, what? I'm glad I don't have a reminder in a real concrete sense
of how crazy things really were back then. Do you ever just sit back with your kid, CJ, and your children in general, and big music comes on, and you know, because when CJ was here, it was an interview. I gave him a hard time about his bars, right? Because he was up here with his friend, they was rapping, and I didn't really feel like his bars was there, and I was like, bro, listen to me.
You need to be ready. This is Hot 97.
You can't just come up to Hot 97 where your father used to spit bars and not shine. Do you guys ever just sit around and listen to the records? Is that ever a thing? Or is that too much pain?
It's not painful. We hear his music all the time, but I can't really say we do. I mean, unless it's been like a barbecue or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But CJ and his little brother Josh, actually, I think when he came up here, that was probably in the very beginning stages of him,
very early.
being brave enough to show his talent. Because he actually was singing a long time ago. And I think he was like, I don't want to do that. Now he's singing and rapping, and his little brother and him are a group. And they got some stuff. They got some really good music. He's gotten way better.
How is his singing ability? You as a singer.
He can sing. When he was in elementary school, he was the only boy in the soprano section.
Really?
Wow.
He had a But Big had a nice voice too. Big could sing. I used to clown him all the time.
Wow. Faith Evans, ladies and gentlemen. B.I.G. 20 years. Y'all give it up for Faith Evans this morning. Thank you so much.